Alrighty, take number 50. Important information, because I always ask myself, am I adding to the noise of the internet or am I actually giving you useful information? And in this case, definitely useful information. The first part I'm just going to touch upon before I get to the crux of this video, my nettle bowstring, which is coming along nicely. I've got a plated loop up here. And like the bows I'm going to talk about, typically the plated loop wouldn't go through the notches on the tips. You would put the string through it so it would be very thick here, because when you plate a loop you get double the thickness, and now I've got double the thickness of fiber going around the high wear area of the bow. Preparing the nettle fibers, this is what I found. The bigger the stalk, the better. I've used my giant stalks, and now I'm going to the second string stalks. I let them dry a bit. I don't need them bone dry, but I dry them a bit and then split them down one side, and it helps to take like a little rock and just gently tap them to kind of loosen stuff up. Split them, flatten them out, and when I'm taking the fibers off, I bend them towards the fiber side, and then the pith just kind of flakes off, and I'm left with a sheet of nettle fibers to work with. Now for the main course of this video. And I've seen this in my videos, this issue, up till my awakening, and I see them in all sorts of videos on making the Lakota horsebow, making the Comanche horsebow, making the fill in the blank. Now the best videos out there are creating beautiful bows. I am not denigrating them whatsoever. I just saw a couple and the bows that this fellow produced were masterful. The sinew backing, the shaping into a gull wing. This obviously isn't a gull wing, it's just a bow, white ash and sinew with a sinew bowstring. But the details that they leave out are important. Everything about this bow from this point to this point between is important. And you also have to consider the system. The archer, the bow, the string, and the horse. And none of this has been touched upon until now. Now it's important to know how to tiller a bow, to shape the gull wing into it, in this case it's not, to make a bowstring, to sinew back. But everyone really leaves out a huge part of that, and that's the string notches. Now notice, my friends, I did not call them string grooves. Grooves, and everyone makes a groove on either side, usually with a round rasp or sandpaper wrapped around something, angled, finely tuned to fit the string. Again, both sides. But the real bows, the original bows, didn't have those. They had notches. They had notches that looked like they were made with a knife on both ends. They weren't typically angled. Process that. Now on to another very important part. They typically had two notches on the bottom end where the string would be tied on. They didn't have modern two-loop strings. They typically had a tied-on string on the bottom limb and a plated loop with the string passing through that plated loop on the upper limb. Again, to give a maximum amount of fiberage in that high wear area. They would have one string notch. Now I'm looking at museum specimens in my book, Bows, the Encyclopedia of Bows and Arrows and Quivers by Jim Ham and Steve Alloway. The notches could have been on this side or they could have been on this side. But the theory being is really in the area of this plated loop and the string passing through the loop, one notch works. And it also allows for easier unstringing. If you have this string under tension and you have this plated loop and the string passing through it, that's a tight system, and it's going to be hard for you to unstring it gracefully if there's 2 notches there. So you have one. One works. And it also gives a little bit of adjustment, you know, to get the string straight, but I don't think that's really of any consequence. And so if you're going to go to the trouble of making a reproduction bow, don't overlook the notches. Don't make string grooves, nice rounded ones made with a rasp that are angled. Put them just in the bow with a knife and only have one on the top. Now the system I mentioned, you've got the archer, you got the bow, you have the string, you've got the horse. You're sitting on the horse. And so you need to be able to, hit your teepee. Pull the bow out of the bow case and probably either laying that bottom limb against your leg or the horse. Pull on the handle toward you, which is the easy way, and then slide the string up into that single groove. Just saying. In conclusion, if you're going to go to the trouble of making a reproduction bow, go big or go home. Do it 100% and have the correct string notches on the bow. That's all. For reference material, again, the Bows and Arrows, I think it's volume 2. Encyclopedia Bows, Arrows, and Quivers by Jim Ham and Steve Alley. Tons of pictures, tons of measurements, and pay attention to those string notches. That is all. That was painless.